Assalamualaikum. Welcome to the Fancy Construction. Hello everyone, how are you? I hope everybody is well. As always, today I come up with a new video. Today we will discuss what is pile and how many types. So friends, let me say one thing at the beginning. As if the video is good, then you must like and comment, because one of your like, a little comment inspired me to make a new videos. So friends, let's go that topic. At first, I will define what is pile foundation. Another issue is what is the difference between pile and poles. We often confused it, so we are discussing these issues. So this is most important. Okay. Now we are define pile and poles. The basic difference between the two is that poles and stood on the boot in the ground or in a base with some from the mechanical festing and poles. Piles are driven into the ground to end first using the natural tripper in facilities to driving, not dissimilar to a nail or a screw. However, now we are talking about pile foundation. So let's start. What is pile foundation? Pile foundation, a kind of deep foundation, is actually a cylinder column or long cylinder made to materials such as concrete or steel, which are used to support the structure and transfer the load desired deep either by end bearing or skin friction. Right now I am already shared some pile foundation picture, so you look that. Type of pile foundation. I am already shared a diagram. Please look that. Pile foundations can be classified based on function, material and installation process, etc. Following are the types of pile foundation used in construction. Part A, based on function or use. Part 2, based on material and construction method. Part A, based on function or use. Number 1, sheet piles. Number 2, load bearing piles. Number 3, end bearing piles. Number 4, friction piles. Number 5, soil compactor piles. Now we will classification or piles foundation based on function or use. Number 1, timber piles. Number 2, concrete piles. Number 3, steel piles. Number 4, composite piles. Now I talking about classification of pile foundation based on function or use. Sheet piles. This types of pile is mostly used to provide lateral support. Usually the resist lateral pressure from the loose soil, the flow of water, etc. They are usually used to confirm thatch and sheeting, shore protection, etc. They are not used for providing vertical support to the structure. They are usually used to serve the following purpose: construction of retaining walls, protection from river bank erosions, retain the looser soils around foundation stretches, for isolation of foundation from adjacent soil. Load-bearing pile. This type of pile foundation is mainly used to transfer the vertical loads from the structure to the soil. This foundation transmits loads that the soil with poor supporting property into a layer which is capable for the bearing the load. Depending on the mechanism of load transfer for pile, the soil load-bearing pile can be used. Fourth, classified as followed. This most important. Anyway, end bearing piles. In this type of piles, the loads pass through the lower tip on the pile. The bottom end on the pile rests on a strong layer of soil or rocks. Usually the pile rests as the transmission or transition or layer of a weak of strong layer. As a result, the pile acts a column and safely transfer the load of the strong layer. The total capacity is int bearing pile can be calculated by multiplying the area of tip of the pile and bearing capacity of that particular depth of soil which the pile rests. Function pile transferred the load from the structures to be soil by the functional forces between the structure or surface of the pile and soil surrounding of the pile's stiff clay, sandy soil, etc. The surface area of the pile multiple by the safe friction force development per unit area determined the capacity of the pile. Last one, soil compactor pile. Sometimes pile are drive at placed close interval to the increase the bearing capacity of soil compacting. Untreated, number 2, treated with preservative. Concrete piles, precast piles and casting pile and casting place piles. We are called these casting C2 piles only for BD. Steel piles, I section piles, hollow piles, composite piles. Now we are definition. Timber piles. Timber piles are placed under the water level. They last for approximately about 28 to 30 years, more than 30 years. They can be rectangular or circular in shape. Their determined or size can vary from the 12 to 16 inches. Timber pile advantage. Timber pile is rectangular size are available, economical, easy to install, low possibility of damage. Timber piles can be cut of any desired length and after the installation. If necessary, timber piles can be easily plotted out. Concrete pile. Precast concrete pile. The precast concrete pile is cast in pile bed in the horizontal form. They are rectangular in shape. Usually circular piles are cast in vertical forms. Precast pile are usually reinforcement with steel break-on during the mobilization from casting bed and location to of the foundation. After the pile are cast, curing has been performed as per specification. Generally, curing period for precast pile 21 to 28 days. Advantage of precast pile: providing high resistance of chemical and biological cracks. They are usually to high strength. To facilitate driving, a pipe may be installed along a center of this pile of casting place concrete or casting C2 concrete pile. This types of the pile is constructed by boring of soil up to the desired depth and then depositing freshly mixes concrete in this place and littering ensure that. It's simple. This type of pile construction is either by driving in mechanically shell to the ground and flattening in the concrete and leave the shell with the concrete of the shell plotted out. Steel piles. Steel piles may be of I section or hollow piles. They are filled with concrete. Steel piles may be of I section or hollow piles. They are filled with concrete. The size may vary from 10 inches to 24 inches in diameter and thickness is usually 3-4 inches. because the small section area, the pile are easy to drive. That's called C60 or C30 driving system. They are mostly uses in bearing piles. Advantage of steel piles: they are easily to install. They can recharge and gather depth comparing on the another types. It is easy to place steel piles, can carry heavy payloads, etc. Anyway, hello everyone. So for today, in the next episode that we talks about SPC pile. All the best. Assalamu alaikum.